This is me just burning some rubbish, getting rid of the winter waste, etc. This is my views at night, look at, for the stars. There's a fire well away. I'll do it now. This is my views, people. At night, peaceful. Oh. The river's just at the bottom there, behind the trees. Just to fill you in, I'll tell you as much as I can, because I didn't tell you everything, what I've got going on. Behind the scenes, you know what I mean? I tell you, I just take fucking baby steps. But I've got loads going on elsewhere, which will come to fruition, and I will fetch it to the channel in due course. But just to keep people updated, this is what's happened over the past few days. Mr Humphreys has refused the due diligence check with KRN podcast, as you know, which I've been insisting on to be done. It's got to be done, because he's went on the Sean Atwood show and branded me a police informer, waving a bundle of fucking paperwork about as evidence that he can prove it. So all I've done is, in response, is called on and however, let's fucking prove it. Let's see what's in your bundle of paperwork. Let's do it live, I says, didn't I? That's how confident I am. Let's do it live. I didn't even know what he's got. But that's how confident I am. Think about it, folks. Anyway, he's refused to live, but he said he'll do it on camera. Then, as soon as he finds out he might be getting asked some hard questions on the camera, he bottles out and says he's not doing it. He's refusing to do the due diligence checks on this paperwork. Why? Ask yourselves that. So what he's done is, there's some way of trying to get out of it. He's went and sent John McCain, for whatever reasons, John McCain a copy of loads of fucking paperwork. Loads. Loads of it's not to do with anything to do with us, from other people's court cases, or I don't even know why he sent him it. But he sent John McCain loads of fucking dribble from a Google Drive that he's been sharing around for the past 7 years. And obviously that's the bundle he's got on the Sean Atwood show. So he sent John McCain a copy of loads of shite paperwork, which John has sent to me, which I haven't downloaded yet. But I've managed to, when I put my tablet on, I can see some of it without downloading it. But I've asked John over the phone, who's went through it all, who he's had it sent to, is there anything there, or any credence or authority whatsoever that you could use to prove I'm an informer? So John's been through it and he's went, no, there's no there, Pat, it's just all shite. They've got people calling you a grass, but it's just like people trying to get you nicked, and associates of theirs, and they've got an official statement from Felton saying, yeah, Davy Glover's an informer, but doesn't mention you. I said, I know that, it's me who fucking give him it. It's part of my case. And he's just sent him loads of dribble. But not at all any credence or credence, which I knew we never had. It was impossible for him to have it before we even come to it. That's why I asked for him to do it live, man. So he's went and sent John all this dribble. But amongst the dribble is an email there, what he's using for whatever reasons, and he sent it to John, from his fellow crime writer. What he's had sent to him in between the Dave Courtney show and the court case. In between. He had this email sent from this crime writer. who's involved at the Dave Courtney show with all the Freemasons. I'm not saying he's a Mason, this crime writer, because he's been to jail, but he's involved with what's went on at the Courtney show. And in the email, this is the same crime writer that prior to the Courtney show has had me taken to the police station and questioned over calling them a nonce on the internet and other stuff, saying I'm trolling them and this, that and the other. And I answered all the questions to the police. We're going to get the interview and show you it, just so you can see what went down there on that interview and what the allegations were by this crime writer against me. This is the crime writer who sent him an email. This is after this interview. So anyway, after he's done this to us and had us took to the police station, and accused me of calling him a nonce on the internet, then we've had the Dave Courtney show. And the same crime writer comes into the frame at the Dave Courtney show too. Just comes into the frame. I'm not saying it's him who's passed on the information to these people that I'm a nonce, but he's involved. So, in between the Dave Courtney show, when I've been branded a nonce by these people, it's been fed Humphreys and Shitey Bulger, the Winter Hill gang. And they've then went, starting that night, branding me a paedophile on the internet. So this is when I've called the police in. So in between them doing that to me at the Dave Courtney show and the court case, when I finally get them put up a court, an email's been sent by this crime writer to Humphreys, saying pass it on to Shitey Bulger, sort of thing. And in the email, it says, I'm guilty of child porn. And not only am I guilty of child porn, I've admitted to him and others that I was on police bail because I've been arrested and questioned over child porn because I've found some in my house, the police. And I blame me fucking son, and I'm on police bail. And he says in the email, because he's speaking to Mr Humphreys, yeah. So he mentioned someone who Mr Humphreys knows personally in the email. And not only did he tell me this, he told Dan Warburton, the local crime reporter too, who he knows Mr Humphreys knows. This is in the email. So at any point whatsoever, Mr Humphreys could have picked the phone up to Dan Warburton, the crime reporter, and said, yeah, is this true? Has Paddy Conroy admitted to you that he'd been arrested over child porn and that? At any point along route, Mr Humphreys could have done that. And I don't know if he did or he didn't, to this day. I'm just telling you what's in this fucking email. I got this email a couple of days ago off John, so I've just found out about it. The first thing I'd done was, I said to John, get in touch with them people who he names as backup. And I looked up Dan Warburton, and he works for the Daily Mirror now. He's a chief fucking reporter. And I've sent him an email telling him what this crime reporter's done, using him as evidence to back up his claims, what he's told, passed on to Humphreys at the Courtney show. So we're waiting for a reply from this reporter. He's out of office at the minute. You get one of them automatic replies, so I've left him a message on his voice phone. So I'm waiting for him responding. But I've also had John McCain contact the two people also mentioned in the email. That one of them's Dan Warburton over this matter, and the other one's Teddy Mullins, who John's already spoken to about this matter. And Teddy Mullins has already told John, as part of the Decker Heggie show, that Paddy's passed lie detector tests, and I'll make a statement or do a bit of filming for you if you want, as part of what's going on. John McCain was told this 6 months ago of Teddy Mullins when I was working with John and Decker Heggie, right? Already been in touch with Teddy Mullins. Since then, John McCain has been on Mr Humphreys' podcast show, hasn't he? And during the show, John McCain mentions to Mr Humphreys that he's been in touch with Terry Mullins, and Terry Mullins has confirmed I passed both lie detector tests. Right? That's on Mr Humphreys' podcast show. This was months and months ago. This is before I even found out about this email. So at any point whatsoever, Mr Humphreys could have checked up to see if what he was getting told in that email was true or not. At any point whatsoever. But he didn't, as far as I'm aware. And he found out at the court case that it was untrue anyway. Himself at the court case. Oh, everything's untrue in that email. As well. From the courts. He hasn't been arrested with anything like this in his fucking life. Never mind fucking, yeah, no, never in his life. That's what Mr Humphreys found out at the court case. And he's published that as fact in books, right? He's published in the Vice magazine, along with that Peter Mann, that he come out in a court case that I've also passed a lie detector test with a piece of spam I had on my computer. Isn't he? So he's fully aware from the court case of what went down here. Isn't he? He's also fully aware that everything he's been told in this email has been sent from this fellow crime writer prior to the court case, that everything in that email the courts are saying is untrue. The courts are, and the police and the Crown and the prosecution are saying this is not right. They're saying the opposite in court about me. But in the same email, it says, this is from one crime writer to the other, from Bernie Black Ops to Mr Humphreys, Conroy's definitely an informer. This is why he sent John McCain it as part of his paperwork. Conroy's definitely an informer. He must be, because I've tried to get him arrested over the past 12 months and they won't do nothing about it. The OG's now, that's part of his, if you'd done his due diligence on that piece of paperwork too, you'd find out, well, that's just another person trying to get him nicked who's calling him a grass, who hasn't got any credentials to be calling him a grass, you know what I mean? If you'd done the due diligence on it, like everything he sent, it's just bollocks. But I'm just pointing out to you what else is in the email. Do you know what I mean? He's also saying to him, Conroy's a grass. He's definitely got a handler. And this is how I can't get anything done about it. I'll put the police interview I got on here. On the very case where he's talking about surely. And he'll read the interview, answered every question to the policeman. Sent to the Crown. And you'll see what I've said on the interview. That's the only place you can look at the proper cases anyway. I'll put it on you. I've tell you. Any of my interviews I've ever had in my entire life is available. I don't hide none of them. But here's one I'm going to put on myself. And it's that one where this crime writer, Bernie Black Ops, had me took to the police station and questioned about calling him a nonce on the internet. Before the same person is involved at the Dave Courtney show and nonce me off. You know what I mean? It's starting to see the picture, yeah, folks. Humphreys just picked up the mantle at the Dave Courtney show and he's kept it going right to this fucking day, hasn't he? Right up to that Sean Atwood show, still doing it. He's an informer. He's an informer. I've got proof. He's got fuck all. That's why he won't come and do due diligence with KRN, because he's got fuck all. Because even this paperwork, him saying I'm an informer, I must be, that doesn't prove you're an informer. And he's got any credentials or credence to be able to say it. Bernie Black Ops hasn't. Just like the other people and his other paperwork haven't. He sends all sorts of shite, but note that you could say, oh, this proves it. Just shite, just people, innuendo, enemies, note proper. Nothing like the Clive Hindle paperwork, like a barrister saying it. Like I've got against them. Remember the Crown saying it. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got anything like that against me. It's just dribble like this, what I'm talking about. But I'm just pointing out what else is in the same fucking email. That a crime rate has saying in the local crime report as proof that Conroy is telling us these things, that he's been arrested over child porn and that. The local crime writer. Now think about it, folks. Not only me, if anyone else had been nicked or questioned over child porn, the last people you'd be fucking telling about it would be the fucking local newspapers, wouldn't it? Guilty or not. Wouldn't it? Be the last people you'd be telling, oh, I've just been arrested for child porn, to the local crime reporter. It'd be the last person you'd be telling, wouldn't it? That would be massive fucking news, man. Well, in the same email, he's claiming I've also told the local crime reporter this too. So, I'm just telling you where it stands. I've just found a suit. We've sent messages off to everybody involved and we're waiting for replies. But it's all untrue. Common sense tells you, well, why the fuck would I have conversations like this with a fucking crime reporter? Even if they were true. Even if they were true. If I had been caught with child porn and I was on police bail, why the fuck would I be telling the local crime reporter this? It's ridiculous, man. And he's a local crime reporter. Is that not the biggest fucking news he's got? Why would he hold on to something like that and not publish it? It's ridiculous. But this local crime reporter is a friend of Humphreys. And Humphreys could have picked the phone up at any point whatsoever and checked out to see if there was any truth in that email. Couldn't he? If I'm telling you, he knows him personally. And I'm just pointing out, we've just had a date ourselves quite recently. And we're waiting for a response to it, no, from the people concerned. But I'm just pointing out also, Humphreys phoned out at court. It was all fucking dribble that was in that email. At court. And this is why I say, it doesn't matter where Humphreys got his information from. Even if it was from the Pope. He got told in court, everything he'd been fed and told regarding that matter was wrong. In court he got told. And he's carried on a smear campaign since the court case with the same sexual matter. And he's also publicly branded me a police informer since the court case. So he's either thought, oh, well, the police are covering this up for Conroy because he's a grass. And he has been arrested. He's saying, I'm going to prove he's a grass. And maybe that's been his justification for what he's done, especially on the Sean Atwood show, because of what he's been telling this email. Let's find out. Because he's not saying nothing about it, is he? From my aspect, yeah. So is he using this email as justification for why he's branded as a police informer for the past 7 years, too? And he's asked that, doesn't he? Because he found out in court that everything else that was getting said in the email was untrue. He could have picked the phone up to Dan Warburton, the news reporter, like we've had to do recently, at any point whatsoever, and said, yeah, is this true what I'm getting told in this email about Conroy? Couldn't he? He knows him. Let's find out if he done it. Conspiracy went on, yeah. I've told you this. What they can't get rid of, and now they've got to explain themselves. And if they didn't explain themselves, there's an murder case that's getting solved, because they've done this as part of the murder inquiries to cause shit between we. And all it's done is halted the murder inquiries until this is sorted out fully. And they're starting to realise that now somebody is. And this matter needs sorted out and aired properly. And I'm just pointing out what Humphreys, you've branded me, my son, you've paedophiles, informers, you've split up innocent families, yeah. And you've got some explaining to do publicly. And remember, I've just come on here and getting involved with this spat with you and them over all your allegations against me. Haven't I? But while I'm here, Humphreys, I'm telling you now, your background's coming out a long route. Because this is going to go on for the next couple of years, this. And I'm finding out that you've been so close with Kane Hutchison that you were drinking with him in the Corporation Club. And gated with him and his mum. And if I find out that's true, that you've been drinking with him who rapes young boys, convicted. I've even getting a message saying that you were visiting him in prison. I'm going to check this out. And if I find out any of this is fucking true, to go along with you, the rest of your fucking background, you're in trouble, you mister. Just you wait and see. I was talking to John yesterday, people, about what my goal is here with Humphreys and his fellow crime writer who's caused all this shit towards me and my family at the Courtney show. And I was telling John, what they've done here is split a family up, and I want £1 million out of them for my ex-wife and the children, because for what they've done to them. This has nothing to do with my claims, 9 wrongful imprisonments and everything else that's went on. This has nothing to do with my stolen fucking money, what they've took off us, what I want back, the police I'm on about. This is a deal with a private incident now then, is it? And they need to pay £1 million compensation between them. This is Humphreys, his fellow crime writer, and whoever else gets found guilty here of this offence of what went on at the Dave Courtney show. He's better get prepared to pay £1 million to my ex-wife and the children for what he's have done to them here at the Dave Courtney show. So I'm just warning you, Humphreys, to me moving any assets, get prepared to pay out here. And I'm just telling you what the bill is. I ain't accepting anything fucking less or these two. I want £1 million for my ex-wife and our children over this matter. I'm not buckling. As you'll see, Humphreys, when I get the interview of your email sender who had me took to the police station, I questioned, I was calling him a nonce. As you'll see soon, he made all sorts of allegations against us, other than calling him a nonce. He said I've been setting up websites and trolling him, and you name it. There was all sorts of allegations there, but they were all untrue, as the CPS found out. But I was questioning about every single allegation that he had to say. I was. So I'm just pointing out, that's what's going to happen to you too. When you get sat down now with that email by the police, you're going to get sat down and questioned about every single allegation, yeah. Not just the email. You're going to get questioned about Tiger and all them stories, what you've written about me in your books, at the same time while you're in the police interview, Humphreys. And I know for sure that you went and reported back to the authorities that night of the Tiger affair, telling your people, your in authority, what had went down in Tiger between Paul Massey and Shady Bulger and Bullock. And you'll have told them in detail who was there, what happened, blah, 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 and it's already on record somewhere. So, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I'm not present. So when you've put them reports in, straight away, after the Tiger, you wouldn't have said Paddy Conroy was there then. You would have told the truth. And that's what will be in the reports. And when I'm getting you sat down with by the police or with this email, didn't you think that you're getting escaping, being questioned over Tiger, and a number of other things that you've carried out against me, just like your crime rate had done to me? It is questioned about everything. That's what I want to be by the police. And I'm just pointing out before we come here, you've carried out conspiracies between you and Spew Armstrong and Crackhead Craig on YouTube to tell lies about me. Conspiracies to go along with everything that's went on behind that fucking email. So I'm just pointing out, Humphreys, you're getting questioned about a lot. So what are you going to say to the police when they ask you on camera, police interview, Mr Humphreys, what's this about Tiger? He says you've also been conspiring against him there too, with Spew Armstrong and Crackhead Craig, Mr Humphreys. When the police ask you, what have you got to say about that to us on this police interview, Mr Humphreys? I always planned this for when I had you on that oath in the dock, Humphreys, but this opportunity is arising now, so I just thought I'd get your arse twitching, because this is where it's heading. You're going to be questioning now the police, I will Tiger now, because of that email. What are you going to say to them? Knowing you've already told the truth about the matter when it happened to other people. What are you going to say to the police on the police interview as part of this case? And then police are going to have to report back to me what you fucking said as part of what's going on here. So, you've managed to duck and dive. Just like Dickie Hickey's done with his so-called trolls and that for years. You've managed to duck and dive and do the same with me so far. All your Masonic influence and everything else you've got going for you. But this email, what you've just sent, John McCain, gets you questioned about everything by the police. Even Tiger. Wait and see. See that fucking email, Humphreys? That email is a conspiracy that took place between you and him, which cost me not only my reputation and everything else, me fucking family. And you're not getting away with it. You're getting charged, yeah, along with him, over that email. Because I'll tell you now, Humphreys, one thing you've never done since you started the smear campaign, since the court case. Because there must have been a bit of doubt after you've been telling. I couldn't give a fuck if you're getting an email from the Pope himself. You've been telling court that the things that email tells you is not true. Same emails tell you I've been arrested, I've been questioned over child porn, blah, blah, blah. And the same email tells you he's also admitted this to Dan Warburton, the newspaper reporter. Now, before you started that 7-year smear campaign off against us after the court case, did you contact Dan Warburton to ask him if that was true? That I'd confessed to him, stating that, oh, I'm on police bail for downloading child porn, my house has been raided. Did you contact Dan Warburton to ask him if any of that was true? Because that's what you've been told in the email. Did you contact Dan Warburton and ask him if any of that was true before you started that smear campaign off against me? Why the fuck would I tell Dan Warburton that I've been arrested over child porn and I'm on police bail if it hasn't happened? And why the fuck, never mind would anybody do that if it's never happened, right? Why the fuck would anybody tell a newspaper reporter that? Silly cunt. Even if it was true, a newspaper reporter would be the last person on earth that you'd be fucking telling facts like that too, wouldn't you? Because it ended up in the fucking papers. You stupid cunt. But just the fact that you haven't contacted Dan Warburton, because I know you haven't, because it's not true. And he's going to come, I've contacted him, I'm waiting for a reply, so's John. It's not true, man. So that's how I know you haven't contacted him after the court case. Because if you had contacted him after the court case, he would have told you, no, Mr Humphreys, he's telling you lies. That didn't happen. Mr Conroy hasn't confessed anything to me of the sort. It's pure fabrication by the person who's told you it, your fellow fucking crime writer. That's what you would have found out if you'd spoken to Dan Warburton, the newspaper reporter. But no, you continued with a 7-year campaign against me and me family. Even with the informer fucking thing, and the same email was telling you I'm an informer. And he's telling you why he's calling us an informer, because I can't get him nicked. He must be an informer. He must have a handler. That's just speculation, man, Mr Humphreys. By someone trying to get me nicked. Another person trying to get me nicked. That's two lots of your paperwork, where they're calling me a grass. In the same paperwork, they're trying to have us nicked off the police. And this is why they're calling us a grass. Why can't we have him nicked? He must be a grass if we can't have him charged. No, maybe, possibly that I'm innocent and I'm not getting charged. Silly cunt. Because remember, when I got took up the police station and questioned over that fucking crime rate as allegations, I answered every fucking question. We're going to get the interviews for you shortly to put them on the internet. I answered every fucking question, and it was sent to the CBS, and the CBS said he's done nothing wrong. This is before the Dave Courtney show. This is before he sent you that email address, that email. And you've still stood for it. Without even trying to check the email out, where any of the people that he's named is back up, that he's telling the truth towards me. You even never tried to check out to see if he's telling the truth or not. Yet you still went on that campaign. So I say That email shows your guilt, not his. His too, but it shows your guilt, Mr Humphreys, and everything you've done and carried out against me and my family. And I'm fucking telling you, I'm relentless, me. I'm not going to stop until I get you in court, man. I've had the police to you twice, man. You're a Grandmaster Mason. Now, we're not going to get you charged. But I tell you what is going to get you charged. That fucking email, what you've just sent, John McCain. Wait and fucking see. Not be this week, not be next week. I've got other things happening. But very soon, police are coming to talk to you about that email. And everything fucking else that you've done to me and my family along fucking route. Because I'm not allowing you shit fucking blame you to escape fucking charges. Because I can smell that's what you're trying to do, yeah. Morning, people. Well, I thought I'd have a cup of coffee with you and explain some of the developments in my own case while I'm on. And this is a score for anyone who's been following my plight. As you know, Shitey Bulger, after the Dave Courtney show, branded me a police informer on social media. But he didn't have many followers to date with, you know, like little numbers. The person who had all the big numbers was his fucking bum chum, Humphreys. And he shared the posts. Anything Shitey Bulger put out about me after the Dave Courtney show, Mr Humphreys shared it through all his social media things, so that he had a lot more people. And it was Mr Humphreys who built up the momentum. And as you know, because of them including me children in the posts and whatnot, I had to eventually call the police in to sort it out. It's a sexual matter. You're allowed to call the police in for any sexual matter, I say. We've been looked at or frowned upon as any type of fucking informer or grass or anything if it's a deal with fucking children or anything like this. So this was my child that they're fucking branding on social media, saying he's involved with this shit, saying that I was blaming him. So I called the police in to sort it out and got them put up a court. So at the court case, Mr Humphreys found out for sure. He'd even published it in Advice magazine. Oh, this is what happened, and Mr Conroy passed a lie detector to store it. He found that out himself at the court case, and he's actually wrote in newspaper articles, Vice magazine, and in books. He's actually wrote in his latest book that was said in court, Conroy's never been arrested or questioned about any type of sexual offence in his entire life. Just make a copy. And he's been told this off the courts, prosecutor, police, you know what I mean, in court. So he found out at the court case everything he had put out on that internet, and I'd been arrested. I was on police bail. I blamed my son. My house had been raided. I've been caught with child porn. None of this is true. None of it. The truth of the matter is, on the family computer, I volunteered this information when I called the police out, just in case it was connected. I said on the family computer, we once got a piece of spam, which I took a lie detector test over and passed. And I pointed this out to the police for them to check and give them the name of Terry Mullins, etc. It's part of when they first came to my house to speak to me and my wife. So that's what's happened. Not my computer, it's a bit of spam, it's on the family computer. Got deleted straight away. Showed my wife seen it. Tell us to delete it straight away. After I've showed her it, she didn't see it on her own accord, I went and got her. And I took a lie detector test over it, voluntary, and passed the test. And then, after I knew the lie detector test worked, for sure, because I didn't trust it at first, I took the one for the murders 2 days later, 3 days later, and everything else. So Humphreys found out at the court case exactly what's happened. Oh, it's just a piece of spam. Oh, he's the only man in the country who's took a lie detector test over a piece of spam. And he found out everything that he'd put around was lies about me and my family from the courts. But after the court case, he then started a new smear campaign. It's been run for 7 years that I'm an informer working for the police. And he kept up the smear campaign of the sexual matter too against us on the Sean Atwood show, the James English show, his own fucking show. He's pushed and pushed and pushed the same sexual matter that he knew was untrue. He knew from the court case was untrue. And I could never understand why he's done it after the court case. How's he expect to get away with it? No wonder the police won't fucking question him over it, because he's fucked. And he's a Mason, obviously. Refused to even talk to him about it. Twice I've tried to get them to talk to him about this matter, and they've refused. So where do you go after that? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, there's been some developments in the case. Mr Humphreys has been sent an email telling him that I'm guilty of child porn. And I'm guilty of everything else that he's went and said. And not only that, he's been told by an email, this is before the court case, that the police, I'm a police informer, and that the police are covering things up here for me because I'm an informer. He's told this in the same email. So obviously, if he's getting that before the court case, and then he's been telling court a whole different story by the courts, where does that leave him? He has a reputable crime writer. Well, no, I wouldn't say a reputable fucking crime writer, but he has a fucking crime writer emailing them, telling them Humphreys, Conroy's guilty of everything I've told you at the day of court. Everything you've got told at the day of court shows true. But even more, he even confessed to us, me, the lie detector bloke, and Dan Warburton, the newspaper reporter from the local office, that he told all us he'd been arrested over child porn and he was on police bail. I'm telling the truth here. He's not telling the truth. Do you know what I mean? That's why he's telling the email. But then when it's been the court case, he's been told the opposite in fucking court. Nobody's just sat in court. So he's got his email telling him this, and he sat in court with this email listening to a complete different story from the courts, the police and the prosecution. So who do you believe? If it's regarding a matter of someone being arrested or bail or anything to do with that, who do you believe, the courts or do you believe the email? Well, obviously, Mr Humphreys has believed the fucking email. Against the Crown, the police, the courts, the prosecutor, he's believed the fucking email still. And he's continued with the smear campaign of the sexual matter after the court case for 7 years. Till now. It's never been stopped. And he's continued after the court case with a police informer campaign, like what he's been told in the email. And he went and sent a copy of this email along with loads of other shite, because it's not anything with any credence. It doesn't prove I'm a police informer, does it? This fella hasn't got any authority to say I'm a police informer. He's just speculating. But what the email does do, it shows me what has went on here. And with this email, what he's went and sent John, this email is going to finally get him start doing off the police. Because that email shows why he done everything to me after the court case. That's the only thing that email does. He's trying to send it as if this is why I've done it. It's not my fault. Someone's convinced us. No, you were told off the courts that everything's untrue, man, Humphreys. In court, you've actually written about it. And you've kept up a smear campaign, man, since then, man. So, no. I'm going to spend the next few days thinking about this email, what you've sent John, and work out how I'm going to put you in court over it. Because someone's gone into court over that email. You're getting questioned, fine, you're getting questioned off the police at some point along the route, yeah. Get prepared, mister. I've got John and a barrister taking statements of different people at the minute, and they're waiting for other evidence. Mr Humphreys, you are going in court one way or the other. Wait and see. Over that email you've sent John. You've sent it to some court sort of justification to cover your horse, why you've done everything. But it doesn't cover your horse, man. Like I say, you've continued after the court case. So what you're saying is, oh, well, I still believed him other than the courts. Is that what your defence is? Yeah. I thought he was still telling the truth and the courts were telling lies. And that's why I've continued with the informer matter, the sexual matter, and raised a new matter that he's a police informer to the public. On the show, Napwood show. He is just getting bigger and bigger, isn't it? So you're saying, Humphreys, that you believe that email above the courts because of your actions that you've carried out for 7 years after the court case. That's the only logical explanation you can be saying, or why you've sent John that email. I'll tell you what you've never done, Humphreys, which is what I've done immediately as soon as I found out. And I've just found out about this email the past couple of days. I'll tell you what I've done immediately. I've told John, get in touch with that. Well, John's already spoke to Teddy Mullins, a lie detector bloke, already. And he's told you on your show, man. Teddy Mullins, tell him, no, I've passed the lie detector test. And John's and me have sent a letter to Dan Warburton too. Because you know Dan Warburton, don't you, Mr Humphreys, personally? A local newspaper reporter. And if you're using that email as justification, as if I still believed the email, did you contact Dan Warburton, the newspaper reporter, to see if you were getting told the truth? Did you make any attempts whatsoever to check out the truth of that email before you continued with that 7-year campaign against me and my fucking family? Did you? Well, listen, I'm telling you no. I'm just going to keep this short. Humphreys, you're going in court. You're one way or the other. I'm not stopping you till I get you in court. And when I get you in court, I'll get all the answers to everything then that you've done. It's really doing the Tiger affair. Because the whole sorry song will come into it then for you to be questioned about under oath. So I'm just telling you, get prepared. You're going to get questioned off the police very fucking soon over that email that you've sent John. And I reckon that email gets ye and him charged because of your actions. So I'm warning you now, do not get in touch with anybody here because it's perverting the course of justice if you do. You're going to get questioned along that with that email, along route, sometime very fucking soon. Wait and see. Daft cunt.